What's up, everybody? Josh Cherry here, and welcome to episode number 5 of 417 Sound. And super excited to have a great new guest, somebody that I feel like I've known, but I don't know, like we've met. Thank you, Facebook, for that. Matteson Gregory is here, everybody. Say hello to Matteson. How are you?
Hi. Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am, like I said, we were talking a little bit before we came on, and I was like,
Yeah.
I do feel like I know you. I know your music. Like I've followed you. Like we kind of cut our teeth on the same venues and things, and but I don't think
Mhm.
we've actually ever spoken. So this is exciting to ask questions and not know the answers before they come out. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. I know we were talking about that. I was like, "No, I'm like, I know who you are." I'm like, "I know who you are," but I'm like, "I don't think I actually have met you in person." Like it's funny how that kind of happens,
Small world,
especially
right?
nowadays.
Yeah, especially in the music scene.
Mhm.
We're all kind of a one big
Yeah.
family. So Madison,
Yeah.
you are kind of, I mean, you're taking off. You're like a singer-songwriter extraordinaire. Like I love listening to your original stuff. It's really deep and
Thank you.
powerful and yeah, so kind of tell me what you got going on right now and where you're at and where you're headed.
Yeah. I'm in the process of recording new music right now, which I'm really, really excited about. The past, like last year, I didn't really release any music. Um, I kind of just took time to really dive into like, what do I want my music to say? Like, what is the purpose of my music?
Hmm.
And so, like, I was able to, like, I got into a lot of like the 90s music, like Cranberries. And then Maggie Rogers, her recent album came out and I was obsessed with it. And it kind of just like sparked this like creative, like, voice. And I started just like writing nonstop last year. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited to be able to like share kind of what I was working on last year, and be able to bring it this year. And of course, booking more shows and just really connecting with more people in the music community and stuff like that. So
Awesome. So
that's
what do
fun.
you, I mean, when you I've kind of tried to make a conscious effort to write more. And it's like English was my best subject. And what they don't tell you in English class is that just because you're a good poet doesn't mean you're a good songwriter. Um, so, like, what do you? I mean, when you're sitting down and you're writing, and I feel like I'm asking everybody this, but I think it's really interesting to dive
hmm
into some people's process. I mean, do you sit down and are you intentional about writing a song, or do you just kind of doodle on paper as things kind of come to you, or are you kind of a musical savant? What what's your process?
I mean, it's crazy because I feel like it's kind of different. It's different every time. I will say, one thing I do try to do is like when I get inspired, I immediately will go and like work with that inspiration and like kind of continue writing it. Like almost like if I get, for example, if I get like a melody or like a chorus in my head, then I'm like, okay, let's go to the keyboard. Let's like go here now and like try to plan it out or at least get kind of an outline of it. I find that's how most of my songs kind of come to be. It's like me like singing while I'm cleaning the house or something like that. And then I immediately like drop everything and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go do this and stuff. Like I have actually in the grocery store gone to the grocery store bathroom and locked myself to record a voice memo. I think you can actually hear someone banging on the door asking what's going on. Like it's like I'm okay.
That's
I'm
hey,
fine.
that
Really,
would
I'm
be
fine.
a hell of a story to tell at the Grammys someday. That would
Yeah.
I wrote this song
I
in
was
the
like, I'm
Costco
okay, guys. I'm
bathroom.
okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it just
Yeah, well,
comes. Yeah.
it is, and I had when I was talking to Maddie Warren a couple episodes back, and she was like,
Mhm.
I'll pull out my phone and I'll record while I'm driving, and she's like, I can't really
Oh
like
yeah.
text or type the lyrics, but I can just pull up my voice
Mhm.
memos and sing out a melody or
Mhm.
lyrics or whatever comes to me. But I find it. I for me, the music side of it comes a lot more difficult to me than the lyrics
Mhm.
side of it.
Yeah.
Like last night, I just sat down and I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a song. And what, like, okay, I've got a wife and I've got a 5-month-old daughter and I've got a dad who just retired. Like, let me think of all the things going in my life right now that I could possibly write a song about. And so I kind of just jotted down
Yeah.
some song titles. I'm not I'm not
Yeah.
joking when I say this. My daughter and I were watching, and she's 5 months old. Like, she doesn't even know what like day it is yet. We were
Yeah.
watching Paw Patrol, and they were singing or talking about chain reactions, and I was like, oh, chain reaction, that might be a good like country, like a love song here. Like,
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, let's
Mhm.
like I'm gonna go off of a Paw Patrol episode, and we're gonna write a song called Chain Reaction, and so that's what I'm working on right now. But I think it's interesting because some people, uh, some people the melody comes first. Some people the beat,
Mhm.
the beat, the drums, a guitar part, something else comes first. Some people the chorus comes first, or the lyrics. So
Yeah.
I always think it's just interesting to dive into people and how they kind
Mhm.
of operate. But based off of listening to your music, I think it's been obvious to me that I think that your lyrics, like you're lyrically driven, that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the foundation of your music. So
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
when you're writing a song, are you pulling from past pain and past experience? Are you pulling from kind of looking forward and what you hope to achieve? Kind of walk me through
Yeah.
what you're thinking about when you're writing a song.
Yeah, I think, um, for me, I think it really kinda depends on the song, like, for example, my song, like, War with Myself, it was one that I released to help advocate for the mental health community. It's something that I'm very passionate about. And I think really I think too kind of what I want to portray with the song. Like I wanted that to be a song of like hope for people and to know that they're not alone in their struggles and it's okay to not be okay. And then also certain songs that are more personal, like I did one Only Love that was like about my well now husband and just kind of I think I always just kind of go off of like what I personally feel, but I think more so what I want the song to mean to somebody else.
Hmm.
I've always like told myself I'm like I kind of want to write music that makes people feel less alone or makes them be like okay, yeah, I know what she's going through. Like I feel that. Like okay, I'm not alone. Like I think it's like music is such a powerful thing, like we could all have different opinions on something but everybody's going to the same concert and you're all jamming out and having a great time and I think it's I think I'd like to be able to I think it's a great way to be able to like build community and have everybody be there for each other.
Yeah.
They can kind of realize like hey, we're not so different after all, even though
Right.
maybe we don't like the same coffee or something, I don't know, but like stuff like
Yeah, and
that,
it's yeah, and it's interesting to me because the same song by the same artist in the same rendition at a different day in your life can mean something totally different to you, a week or 2
Oh,
weeks
yeah.
later. I mean, the day after a breakup, you're going to feel a certain way about a breakup song. As
Mhm.
a few months down the road when that breakup has subsided, it's more of like yeah, I didn't need them anyway, kind of. I'm less
Yeah.
heartbroken and more of like his loss or whatever.
Like,
Um,
I don't
but
care.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's open for interpretation. There's a lot of, I mean, the
Mhm.
if you're, um, like I'm a Christian, so the scripture is kind of the same way. Like I can read a scripture that's
Mhm.
one day means one thing to me, and the next day means something totally different. And I think music is kind of that universal language that just
Yeah.
it meets you where you are, and kind of
Yes.
you're. So yeah, I think I'm 100% with you that writing a song to meet that person and their brokenness and where they're at is
Yeah.
the the deep meaning of music. So I'm really glad you brought up War with Myself because that's actually was one of my notes. Um,
Oh.
to talk specifically about that song, because I
Yeah.
relate to it a lot. And you've been, and I talked with you before, made sure you were okay with talking about this, but you've been pretty open with
Mhm.
kind of your struggles with depression and anxiety, and those are things that I can
Mhm.
relate to. And I talked in a different episode about how us as musicians, and we're so outward facing, and we're so have to be
Yeah.
smiley and happy and performative,
Yeah.
that it a lot of times is those people who are struggling and nobody knows. um
Mhm.
so first of all, I hats off to you for being as open and candid about it as you have. But how
Thank
does
you.
that help you? How does it help you, being open about it and talking about it? How is that therapeutic for you?
I think like if I go back to when I was 18, it was like that was probably the very low point. I was questioning my existence. I questioned even like what my whole purpose was here. And I think the one thing that helped me to get through was hearing someone else's story. And I think also that um the person, like whenever I was telling them how I felt and stuff, they understood, but they also I think they also listened. I think sometimes people they need someone just to listen to them and not
Mhm.
be negative about it, but just kind of be like, yeah, like it's okay that you feel like that right now. Um, but also be like hopeful about it. And I think um, for me, I chose to be more open because about it and kind of, especially with my music and stuff, because it's like, I think I want to help people. I love helping people. And I think too, I know what it feels like to be in that dark space. And I would never wish anybody else to be in that dark space. So it's kind of like, I just want to use my music to help someone know that they're not alone.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's why I'm very like open about my struggles in that, because I know for me that's what helped me is hearing other people talk about their personal struggles and kind of how they were able to get through it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's I kind of do it for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you were struggling in those places mentally, I mean, were there ever times that you wanted to give up music and move on from music?
Yeah, I think um like I know like I still like used music like therapeutically, but I think too I did kind of at a sense I was like what's like, I think when I was struggling I just didn't know what my purpose was. I'm like I don't even think I could do this. Like how am I supposed to like do this? And I think just
Right.
like a lot of self-doubt too.
Mhm.
Um and yeah, just kind of I think just feeling kind of numb to everything as well.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, no, there are definitely moments. I think in all, I just didn't know what I was meant to be.
Mhm.
Didn't think I really was meant to be anything. Um, but yeah, I guess, yeah, looking back now, I'm like, wow, I've come pretty far away.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's
And
pretty
that
good.
and
So,
that is what makes it all worth it. My wife
hmm
and I talk about that
yeah,
a lot, because there was my anxiety started in college, and I was at the University of Missouri, and
hmm
I had my first panic attack, and I was so far away
oh
from
yeah,
home, and all of my friends
hmm
were drunk, and I was sober and thought I was dying and had no, like, I didn't want to call an ambulance, and I was like,
yeah,
so my anxiety became attached to traveling. So, like, if I get a certain distance from home, I would be hyped up. I would be anxious about that. Um,
yeah,
and everybody's is different, but we
hmm
we took, it was, I think it's been 2 or 3 years ago now, we took a trip to Florida, and I was so anxious about going to Florida with my family that I was literally in tears the night before. Like, I don't want to go, and I was like,
oh
how, like, I'm upset because I'm going on vacation. Like I try to put it in perspective. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that don't get to go on vacations, and so I should be happy. And so
Mhm.
I ended up doing it, and all the way home, and we had a 15-hour drive home. I was telling my wife like, I can't wait to do this, and I can't wait to do this, and I can't like it was like Pandora's box had unlocked for me. And like
Yeah.
I was always the type of person like I would just be like, hey, it's a Friday afternoon. Let's go to St. Louis and watch a Cardinals game. And like I just pack up and go. And like for over 10 years, I was not like that anymore. It was like I lost a piece of myself. But
Yeah.
showing, proving to myself that I could get through it, opened this box. And now I've been able to do
Yeah.
all sorts of things that I wanted to do. And I've always wished that I turned to my music when I was in
Mhm.
the worst places. And I never did because I think I just tried to compartmentalize, the anxiety away from
Yeah.
everything else. So again, I
Mhm.
I commend you because I think some of the best music can come from times like that, and I think "War with Myself" is a great song, and like I said, I just totally relate to it. So hats off to you for not giving up music because you're making a difference in people's lives. So I think
Thank
that's
you.
awesome.
Thank
Um,
you. That means a lot.
Yeah. So now that we're 15 minutes into the podcast and have tackled all the deep stuff, like let's get to some happy stuff
Yeah.
now. Um, Tell me. So one more thing I want to touch on. I mean, you've written
Yeah.
you've written a lot of songs, and a lot of them have deep meaning. What do you have song that is like the most meaningful to you? Like one that's kind of like really, really near and dear.
Hmm. It's like really tough. Um
What
like
kind of
which
host
ones?
would I
Like
be if I didn't ask hard questions?
yeah. Yeah, I think if I were to think of all the songs I have released like so far, I probably would say there was one I released back in September called "I'll Be Okay," and it was actually the very first song that I wrote about my struggles with depression.
Hmm.
It's kind of inspired by a phrase my mom would always tell me. She was always the one who listened to me and was really there for me when I was feeling low. And she just was like, she's like, honey, it's okay that you feel like that, but she's like, you'll be okay. She's like, I just want
Hmm.
you to, keep going and stuff. And yeah, and I think it was just like one day I was like reflecting on it after a few years, and I was like, wow, like I was okay. Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
still have your bad days and stuff, but that's probably one of the most personal ones, just because it was the first song that I ever wrote about my personal experience
Hmm.
with depression and anxiety and that.
Yeah.
So
So you are from Branson. Did you go to school in
yes,
Branson at Branson High?
yeah, I went to school. Yeah, Branson High School.
Okay. Home of the Pirates. Great. Did you
Woohoo!
I mean, were you were you involved in music when you were in high school? Have you been like kind of walk me through what your musical journey has like looked like? Did you start young?
Yeah. So like I was always around music. My dad was in various bands growing up. Like I know he did a Motown band, I think in Branson like years ago. And so there was always like instruments like scattered around the house, and we would do like karaoke nights. Like I always loved to sing and do karaoke and
Mhm.
like just mess around with the instruments and stuff. But um I think then it was like I hit my teens, and like I still like I wrote, like that's when I started really writing songs and stuff, but um I never really like performed or anything. I think there was like just kind of, self-confidence and being like, I don't know if I could do this, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But like throughout high school I did choir and I loved it. I met a lot of great people through there. Um and it actually like one of my one performance that will always mean so much to me was I got to perform one of my songs in front of the high school at like during my senior year of high school. I got to
Mhm.
perform one of my songs in front of the whole school, and I remember I was like so nervous. I'm like, no one knows who I am. I'm like, this is just me with my guitar. Like no one knows who I am, and I'm like, okay, like I guess here we go.
Mhm.
And it was just it was a moment that really made me realize I'm like, okay, yeah, like I can do this with me. Like I can do music and stuff. Like, um, people came up to me, they like loved the song, they were like cheering and stuff. It was just like such a, I almost like want to call it like a movie moment because
Yeah.
it was like it was just really cool, and it was like I just kind of like sat there and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, and
Mhm.
I think I can do it. So yeah, and like I think kind of ever since then, that was like when I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go for it, and I've been doing that ever since. So
Yeah. So what motivated you to take that step and perform at the school? Because that's like I would much rather play for a total bunch of total strangers than my peers. So I
yeah,
mean, were you getting encouragement from your friends, or was that like entirely self motivated?
so I would actually have to say like probably the big motivator was my mom. Well, I had made a promise to her because she always believed in me, and she's like, Maddie, for your senior year, I want you to do a solo, or I want you to do something, like, because she's like, I believe you're talented, and she's like, I want people to know that, and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, mom, I'll try, trying to like I'll try and
Yeah.
stuff. So but yeah, because it was originally going to be like I was in choir and they were doing like a senior showcase. And so I was going to perform the song that I did in front of the whole school at that senior showcase, but I don't think enough seniors signed up. So it ended up getting canceled. And so I was like, okay, I guess like I won't do that. But then my choir director, he's like, hey, for one of the assemblies, they want I I know you put a lot of work into this and getting prepared to do the like showcase and stuff. He's like, what do you think about singing in front of the whole school? And I was like, let me think about it. But my mom, she was the one who was just like, Maddie, you got to do it, you promised me, and stuff like that. So it was really like I was like, okay, I'm like, I guess I'll do it. I was like, I'm a senior, no one's like senior year, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
um yeah, it was really probably my mom who motivated me, and I'm really glad she did because I it was a one experience that I probably won't forget ever,
Yeah.
especially with like my music. So,
Right. So immediately after you graduated high school, were you like, okay, time to go book some gigs? Like I'm ready to do this, or
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I think yeah, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna look at booking some gigs. I'm gonna like so that's what I did. I think it was when what was it? Branson Center Stage or
yep,
something. I know I did a few shows there. Um and stuff like that. So yeah, I really just tried to like book gigs wherever I could, and like still kind of worked on like writing a lot of songs. And then eventually I pushed myself to like go out to Nashville, where I went and started recording some music
okay,
out there with a producer that I had met. So yeah, like I got to a point where I was like, wait, I want to release music and stuff like that. So
yeah,
um, yeah.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it
No,
was kind of like right after high school. Yeah.
okay, I had no idea that you did that. So let's talk about that. That's great.
Yeah.
So that's like, is that like right after high school? You're kind of like, okay, let's go to Nashville and see what we've
um,
got.
yeah. It was funny. So I always like intended to like move out that way, but then it seemed like there was like always something that came up that either like didn't have the money to do it, or like
Hmm.
you needed a roommate, or there was one place that I thought I was going to rent out, but it turned out it was a scam, which thank God that never happened,
Yeah.
Um, all these things. But I realized I'm like, okay, I'm going to just like continue to like play music and write music. And then eventually when I was like really considering like recording music, I was like, let me look for some people out in Nashville. And I came across this one producer named Sean Rogers, and I accidentally sent him a blank email. That's the first time he ever heard of me. Yeah. I was like, this is professional. I was like, maybe he won't see it. Maybe it will go to his spam. And then
Right.
like he immediately messaged me back. He's like, hey, I got a blank email from you.
Uh-huh.
Didn't know if you meant this or not. And um yeah, so then like I went out there, I was able to book like a writer's round out there, and then he wanted to meet with me, and like my mom was with me, so like I met with him. And yeah, and like I got a really good vibe and I was like, yeah, like let's record music and stuff. So like I kind of like over the next 2, 3 years, like every like few months I would just kind of go out there and we would record a song and stuff, like spend like a few days out there, be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna record this one. Then we'll record this one and stuff. So
Cool. So how was your
yeah,
experience
yeah.
doing that? Is it like, are you more encouraged now to move out there, and like is that still something you would want to do now that you're married and things, or have you kind of put that on
Yeah.
the back burner?
I think it's definitely something that I want to do. I know for sure, like my husband and I, we both want to like travel. And I
Hmm.
think, especially too, with like technology, you can do music from a lot of different places. Um, but yeah, that's definitely one place we've considered like moving to, especially too, because he's like, I know it's always been your dream to live there, even if we only live there for like 3 months or like we go
Yeah.
every like summer and like, you know, just something, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but um, but yeah, it did kind of give me the confidence to be like, hey, yeah, I can go out here, I can do this and stuff like that. But I think more so just like, okay, like I can do this music thing. I can be an artist and I can um yeah, I can have my music heard by people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a cool town. It's intimidating, but it's,
Mhm.
you know,
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah.
neat.
Mhm.
So is your husband, is he musically inclined at all, or?
Not really. So um yeah, I remember one time he like we were friends for years and he wanted to he said he could play this one song on guitar, which I also knew how to play, and he
Uh-huh.
didn't really know how to play it. So I was like, "Here, let me see," which is fine. It's fine. But he's just as creative, I think, as I am, just like in different areas. Like he does like photos, videos, a lot for like me, but other people as well. And then he's also a writer too. We actually like he wrote poems, and it was funny because I was like showing him this one idea for a song I had, and he's like, "Ooh, maybe you could do like a line kind of like this," and I was like,
Mhm. Mm.
"Hmm, hmm, would you want to write a song together?"
Uh-huh. Do I have to
you
pay
know?
you?
Yeah. So yeah, so that's been really cool too. I think we've actually like kind of written 2 songs so far together. So it's like so yeah, it's been really cool to be able to like, oh, it's like my best friend and also my husband, but like we can actually like it's almost like something that we get to do together. Like, hey, we can be creative. We can like write a song or we can like make this video and stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really cool.
that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
what are you just do you just play guitar? Do you play other instruments?
I play guitar and then I also play piano.
Great. Do you have a preference? Which one do you like more?
Um, I typically, for like a lot of my shows, I typically just do guitar.
Yeah.
Um, I think too, it kind of depends on the vibe of the song. I would love to get like a keyboard for live shows, just because there are certain songs that I'm like, man, I feel like this is more like you know, I always feel like, and you probably have felt like this too, like certain songs, I'm like, man, this is more like guitar. Or I feel like it would be
Mhm.
more for piano and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Um, so yeah, I'd like to eventually do that and kind of diverse the shows a little bit, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, and I mean, it would give your fingers a break. I mean,
I know.
that's the hard, like, I've been
Yeah.
playing since I was 16 and I still don't have enough calluses to where like
Yes.
3 hours after a show, I'm like, my
Oh my
fingers about to fall
gosh.
off.
Yeah, no, like I'll do like if I do like a 3 hour show, like I'm taking at least two different like 10-minute breaks because I just it's my fingers. It's like
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God. Like some of them
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, can I
It's
make it through
brutal.
this song? I'm like,
Do you have
you know.
you're not a very big person. Do you have a smaller bodied guitar? Like, do you struggle? Because like my fingers are short and fat, and so like I have trouble doing like the John Mayer bar chords, and I have man hands. So like, do you
Yeah.
have trouble with? I mean,
Mm,
the formation of your fingers on the strings.
uh Not really. I do know, like, for a while though, the bar chords were always the hardest ones for me. Like
I
anytime
still hate
I
them.
think it was just I hate them, but like it was also I'm better at playing them now, but it took me a while to kind of figure out how to really get it to sound good without it just sounding like blah or something. Like it just sounds I don't even know how
Yeah.
to make up that
Uh-huh.
noise. Like, but yeah, Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest struggle for me was doing bar chords because like I always feel like too I always wanted to do bar chords because I'm like I feel like all the good guitar players like they'll take me more
Yes.
seriously if I
Ugh.
can do a slide. I'm
Yes.
like, what's wrong with just a regular G chord?
Yeah.
Like,
I
you
still
know?
I had a guy come up to me last summer at the end of my set, and he goes, "You really love that thing, don't you?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he points at my capo. And I was like, "Yeah, I love it. Of course I
I
do."
love it. Yes,
And
yes.
he was like, "Real guitar players don't use capos." And I was like, "Well, that's where you're wrong because I see lots of people using capos." But I'm like, why would I torture my fingers if I'm up here for 3 hours and
Yeah.
I can transpose it up or down and use a capo and play a G versus playing a
Yeah.
B? Like, why would I not do that? Like
Yeah.
your opinion doesn't matter. Get out of here.
Yeah. That's just kind of weird. I'm like, I've seen a lot of professional guitar players use capos. I'm like,
Yes. Yes, for sure. So
yeah.
do you have a day job, or are you full-time doing the music thing?
Yeah, no, I do have a day job. I do customer service. So, but then I also teach. I got into teaching vocal lessons over at Ernie Williamson up in Springfield and
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
So, and that's been really cool. I really love all my students. I think it's just cool whenever like they get it. Like I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, here, try like singing it like this, and they're like, that worked, and like
Uh-huh.
I'll be like, that sounded great. It's really cool. To be able to like I think also too I think music's always just like I love music and I love
Yeah.
that kids they want to learn it and
Right.
stuff like that.
Right. And
So
I tell people all the time, especially like kids, and I'm like,
hmm.
man, playing, like, even if you can't sing, like, playing an instrument is one of the best investments you can make because
Oh yeah, for sure.
you can make a nice little side hustle out of playing
Hmm.
shows, even if you're just a bass guitar player in a band. I mean,
Oh
that's a
yeah.
nice little side hustle. I mean, you can be 90 years old and still play instruments, so it's something that sticks with
Oh
you, and
yeah.
you're just going to keep getting better.
Hmm.
Did you take vocal lessons or guitar lessons or piano lessons when you were younger?
Yeah. So what was it? So, my dad, since he was a guitar player, he actually taught me how to play my first song. And then, kind of from there, that's like when I started writing songs. And then, like, I got this like guitar chart
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like, it's like a poster that
Like a
had different
poster?
chords,
Yep.
like a poster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I would like just, kind of go off that and stuff, be like, cool. So, but yeah, my dad, he taught me how to play like my first song on guitar and stuff. And then, for vocal lessons, I started doing those. I actually took them at Ernie Williamson.
Okay.
Um, uh, I was taking those for like 3 years. Like, so that started like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I took them for a few years. It wasn't until I was like older that I started doing vocal lessons and that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was it. And then I also did piano lessons for a little bit. But I think with like the piano and guitar, like I got to a point where I was like, oh, I'll just look at the chord books and stuff because I think I was very once I kind of knew how to do the chords, that was like whenever I started being able to write songs. Like I was able
Mm-hmm.
to like that's when it started coming. So I wasn't so preoccupied with trying to be like Jimi Hendrix. I just wanted to
Right.
like be able to write songs, and that was a tool that I used. So
Yeah. Do you remember what the first song you were taught on the guitar?
yeah, "Accidentally in Love" by the Counting Crows
Ah, Shrek.
from Shrek. Everyone's like the song from Shrek. I was like,
Uh-huh.
yep.
That's funny.
So,
When I say Shrek soundtrack, I mean it's one of three songs, right? You've got "I'm a Believer," "Accidentally in Love,"
mhm.
and "All Star" by Smash Mouth. Like, it
Yeah,
could be any of those three, but yeah, "Accidentally in Love" makes me think of Shrek for sure.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny. My I learned how to play "Hey There Delilah" to impress
Oh.
a girl, and I could not really sing and play at the same time. I was trying to get way ahead of myself, and it was very, very bad.
Oh my
Needless to
gosh.
say, I did not marry that girl. By the time I met my wife, I was much more talented than I was. good thing for me.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So what I mean, do you consider yourself a country singer? Like what
Mm.
genre do you classify yourself with? Cuz I hear a lot of different undertones in your
Yeah.
songs.
So it's funny because like when I first started pursuing to be like an artist, I really was going towards like the
Mhm.
country music scene. But I think like as I got older, I kind of was like I was writing all these like songs that really didn't sound like country, but I still liked the style of like a lot of like country writing with like the storytelling. Um,
Mhm.
that's one of my favorite things with like country writing is just like the storytelling, um, kind of making you feel like you're there.
Right.
And but yeah, it was actually when I was in Nashville and I was like recording a song like when the one producer like I was like writing it and he's like, you do realize this is kind of like a pop song, right? And I
Mhm.
was like,
Mhm.
it is. And he's like, yeah. He's like, this isn't country. He's like, I don't know. So yeah, I think I would, if I were to narrow it down, I probably would say it's like um I probably would say I'm probably more on the pop side, probably like pop, like singer songwriter,
Mhm.
like indie and stuff. Because um, it's like so hard because I draw inspiration from various types of music, but that's probably primarily where my sound is in
Yeah.
that genre and stuff. So
Do you ever get told that you sound like anybody? Have you drawn any comparisons?
yeah, so what was it? Someone told me it was pretty cool. I I did this like song contest thing. I think it was the Branson song contest they did like
Oh,
a few
yeah, yeah.
years back or
Yeah.
something like that. One of the girls said she's like, "Yeah, I could really kind of tell there was a little bit of like Alanis Morissette in your voice." And I was like, "Well, that's pretty cool."
Okay.
I was like, "I'll take that." And yeah, I've gotten that. I think some of the sounds, like as far as like melodically wise, I've gotten like Taylor Swift. I think someone said one girl I had a meeting with, she's like, the one song kind of reminded me of a Selena Gomez song. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's fine.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'll take it. I'm like, so yeah, yeah. So definitely probably around that like pop kind of style.
Yeah, I
So
no, it's funny you brought up
yeah,
Alanis Morissette. Last night, as I was going through and making my notes for today, I listened to your one of your videos you posted from your So Far show,
yeah.
and my wife and I were sitting there listening to it, and I was like, "You've kind of got that little I don't know what the technical term is for it, but it's almost like just a alteration in your voice. Like you get some like Alanis Morissette was known for that.
Yeah,
Whatever, I don't know what the word is, what the
I
term
I
is
I
for it.
know what you're talking
Yeah, it's
about,
just like
like, but I
I
don't
can't
even
even
know
do
what
it,
the
but
technical term is.
yeah,
Yeah,
you just kind of get to
I
a
don't know.
note, and it kind of like you kind of pull off of it a little bit, and it goes into like
Yeah.
another note, and it's kind of like what a hammer on would be on a guitar, but vocally.
Yeah,
I don't know what the word is for it, but
yeah,
I could definitely see like that was kind of one of my thoughts was there's a little Alanis in there, which is
yeah.
she's got
That's
one of the most unique sounds. Like
oh, yeah.
you hear her on the radio and you know it's Alanis Morissette. It's just
Yeah,
she is who she
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I'm
no,
actually
so
one of the songs that I want to do with my band is Ironic. I want to do like a male
oh,
country version of
that'd be
Ironic.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's on my list of to dos.
You know yeah, you
So
can yeah, I'd be curious to see how that sounds. I feel like that would be a good like, for out of her, like, music, that would be a good like, I could see that being country too.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could put a country flair on it and stuff,
yeah,
so,
I could hear maybe a
yeah.
little Jewel in there too for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, like, cause I do a lot of, like, 90s
Yeah,
music for my set, so, like, I'll do, like, Alanis and that, and then I do, like, the Cranberries, a lot too,
she
so,
kind of does that
uh
same thing.
yeah, yeah, like, it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Man, like, you kinda have, like, that, like, 90s
Yeah,
female era voice," which I'm like, "I'm fine with that," and I think too, especially those are kind of the artists who have, like, really been, like, inspiring me over the past year, so
uh huh.
that's probably they just jumped right into
Yeah.
my voice and stuff.
Now
So
I don't know how old you are, but are you a 90s baby?
I am a 90s
You
baby.
are
Yeah.
okay. Okay. I
I am a
wasn't sure.
90s baby. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the other the None the Wiser. Kiss Me. Kiss
Yes.
Me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
bet
I
you could
play
do
that
that
at my
song
shows
pretty good.
too. I
Oh,
love
there you
that
see, there you
song. I love that song.
go. I think you should, if you don't play Jewel already, I think that would work.
Hmm.
She's
Yeah.
Have you ever
There's
heard her story? Like she like lived on like a middle of nowhere, like her grandpa started a town in like Montana.
really.
She was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was one of the most fascinating things I'd ever listened to because she literally grew up like with her grandpa and her parents, and her moved to a desolate area in like Montana and started their own town, and were like entirely like, I can't remember the word for it now, but like, yeah, they were like hunting and gathering in like super, super middle of nowhere,
That is
wild.
crazy.
She grew up like hard, like she's a tough chick, and I had no clue.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you wouldn't have gotten that, like, because like
No.
I was just thinking about like the one song like like I like the song like "Standing Still" by her, like all
Hmm.
that stuff, and yeah, no, I wouldn't. I would have never.
She seems very gentle, but deep down, she's like,
Yeah,
I
but
could kill a bear
no.
with my bare hands.
Well, if we have an apocalypse, I know who I want by my side. I
Yeah, no
guess. Like,
kidding. Find
where's
Jewel.
Jewel? Like,
If it hits the
Jewel, if you're
fan,
listening,
find Jewel. Yeah, that's
Jewel,
right.
where are you? Oh
Uh-huh.
my
So
gosh.
you've kind of got a poppy sound, but you draw some
Hmm.
inspiration from country and from 90s.
Yeah.
What songs are in your Spotify Wrapped? What are you like? What are you listening to? If it's just you and you're just
Ooh.
vibing.
Um. Hmm. I feel like it changes all the time, but um, especially over the last year, it was a lot of like the Cranberries. I
Yeah.
listened to them a lot. I think another one, The Cure.
Okay. Yeah.
That was another one that I was listening to a lot. My husband and I listened to them quite a bit
Okay.
last year, and like 1975. Trying to think. Yeah, I think like a lot of the 90s, like, like Alanis, and then Cheryl Crow was another one that like I had a lot
Great.
of songs. Yeah,
Fantastic.
great. So I know I feel like my musical, like anytime my Spotify Wrapped comes up, it's like all over the place. Like even my brother was like, "Maddie, what are
What
your
are you
playlists?"
doing?
I was like, "I just like everything." Okay.
Uh-huh. I heard my wife, one of her favorite shows is How I Met Your Mother, and they've got the new
Mhm.
How I Met Your Father show, and
Mhm.
they had a male acoustic version of If It Makes You Happy, and I can't remember who sang it, but it was by Sheryl Crow, and it was like, I was like, man, this is deep. Like it goes
Yeah.
back to like, if you strip, I was just talking with Jake Simpson in the last episode.
Mhm.
He was trying to do like a stripped down version of Billie Jean, and I do that in my shows, and it came from a band called the Civil Wars. I heard do it, and like when
Yeah.
you really listen to those lyrics, you're like, holy crap, this song is sad. Like,
Yeah.
but it's funny how you can take a song and like, If It Makes You Happy is an upbeat song, but it's obviously about like
Yeah.
a breakup and stuff. But like if you strip it down and really kind of slow down the BPMs and things, like it gets deep. Like you can do that to any song, and that's a lot of
Oh
fun, I
yeah.
think, for a musician to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, like I think which I still do, like what is it, the song, I'll play like Zombie by the
Yeah.
Cranberries in that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like even watching like the music video, all that stuff, I'm like, this is like a very like depressing,
Yeah.
like serious song. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's crazy because sometimes I like to do that with like certain songs, is like because it gives them, it's almost like it's a new song, even though it's the same one that you've known for years. It's like
Yeah.
you could just, it almost is like it's completely different. It's
Yeah.
really like cool.
Do you have a do you have any songs that like every time you hear it, it just evokes a certain emotion? Like whether it's happiness or sadness, just like one song that every time you hear it makes you feel feelings?
Y- yeah, for sure. There's lots of those. I feel
Oh yeah,
like
there
I'm
are.
just like, yeah. I think if I were to like think of like one right now, it's the one that just came off the top of my head was About You by the 1975. It just makes me feel um very like happy in that. It was one that we listened to the album that that song is on, my husband and I, on our honeymoon. So it kind of like just brings me back. We went through like the Smoky Mountains and stuff, so it was like it kind of brings me back to us like
Yeah.
listening to that song and going through the Smoky Mountains and stuff, and it like makes me like smile and everything like that. So yeah,
It's kind of even going back to like me learning how to play Hey There Delilah. Like
yeah,
that is so like I was in junior high. Like that is so long
mm-hmm,
ago, but like it takes me back to that moment
mm-hmm,
and those feelings that I had for like my first girlfriend, Like
yeah, yeah,
it's really weird, but it's like it transports you. There's one song that comes to my mind. It's called In a Big Country, and it's by the
okay,
band called Big Country, and I think they were like a one-hit wonder. And it probably came out, geez, I don't know if it was 90s or probably, I would say it's probably an 80s song. But it's a super upbeat song, and it's got like uh bagpipes in it, and it's like your typical 80s song. But the
yeah,
first time I remember hearing it, we were on the way to Oklahoma to see my grandpa as he was dying. And like every
oh,
time I hear that song, it's a happy song, but it makes me feel sad
but it's oh yeah,
because it
mm-hmm,
immediately, I go back to I was a senior in high school, and I was like, my whole family was in the car together. We were driving to Oklahoma. I was in the back seat, like bundled up with a blanket. It was late. It was the middle of the night. We were driving down there, and like I was like half asleep, and the song comes on, and just in the moment, I didn't even think anything about the song. But now, every time I hear it, it's just like I get transported back to how I
oh
felt
yeah,
that day. It's just music is so
yeah,
powerful in the same way. Like anytime I smell fresh cut grass, like I'm taken back to football practice or baseball
oh
practice. Like
yeah,
the
mm-hmm,
senses in your brain is just it's just a wild. But I think that's great what you said earlier about writing a song and meeting that person who needs it. Like I think that is the purpose for music, is to take us to those places, whether good or bad,
yeah,
that it invokes
mm-hmm,
a memory. And it's
yeah,
really, really cool, and it's awesome to be able to create something like that didn't exist.
yeah,
you know Sometimes I think about like 5 minutes ago, this song that I just wrote did not exist, like until I put the
yeah,
pen to paper. These words
mm-hmm,
in this order did not exist, and it's cool in the same way that you would paint something or whatever.
mm-hmm.
It's cool to be able to create. It's good, it's healthy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
um
agree. I think like yeah.
yeah. So I want to know what people can expect if they come see Matteson Gregory. Like what is a Matteson Gregory show? What can people expect? What's the vibe? And do you take requests? Kind of what Walk me through your show and kind of what people can expect from that.
Yeah, so I always feel like my shows they're definitely a more acoustic set, but I love being able to I really feel like my shows are very much like the kind to like really feel like they're like inviting. I always try to make it feel inviting and the crowd feel like, they're there too. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
not there singing songs. Like I see them. Like I see
Mm-hmm.
them sitting there and I like see them listening, especially like when, you know, they clap or cheer or they come up to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was so great." Like I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love making sure to kind of include the crowd and really make sure that they know that I know they're there.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I think too, you can hear, I do, like I said, lots of like 90s, a lot of 90s stuff if you like that, as well as a lot of like originals that I write. And I kind of very which originals I do from time to time. I kind of like to mix it up, especially if there's like a
Yeah.
new song that I wrote that I'm like, ooh, I really want to like, I really like this one. I want to like hear what people think about it and stuff like that. So, because sometimes too that helps me be like, okay, maybe I'll record this one next if it seems like it's getting a really good like feedback from people. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but
You,
yeah,
do you kind of alter your set? Like if you're gonna go play in downtown Springfield on a Friday night, and then on Saturday you're going to Limwetta Winery or
yeah.
wherever in Branson, like I mean,
Mm.
do you kind of go in with an idea of, here the 90s stuff is going to hit better, and then here maybe the country stuff is going to hit better, or do you kind of just, hey, I'm just going to play what I like to play and you're going to deal with it?
Yeah, I think like I don't want to say like that, but like I think like I will
Yeah.
play. I usually try to, especially with my set list, I usually try to at least include something for everyone, and I do take a good into account like kind of where I'm playing at most of the time. I usually will play pretty much the same songs, except like, depending on if it's like a 3 hour set, I might add some more in, or I might kind of differentiate or swap certain ones out if I'm like, oh, I feel like more people are kind of like for the 90s stuff. Like there are some places I've played, they're like totally digging it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
Hmm.
like keep this going. But then some places, if they're liking, maybe more of like I know I'll do like I have an ABBA song that I do, or like
Hmm.
Doobie Brothers, stuff like that. If they're liking stuff like that, be like, okay, maybe I'll kind of bring out some more of like the oldie kind of stuff, or like same with country. So
Yeah.
um, kind of go off of the audience. I think a lot too. Sometimes
Yeah.
can kind of depend on like what I play too.
Yeah.
So
And you can always tell if they're feeling it or if they're not feeling it.
yeah, yeah,
But I always start my shows out by saying I take requests, and if you don't request anything, then you're just at my mercy, and you're just gonna have to deal with what I play.
yeah.
And usually that'll, like, if honestly, like if I play a 45 minutes or an hour, and then in the
Mm-hmm.
second hour I start getting a bunch of requests, that's usually my signal to, hey, this Vino Sellers is not digging the country music tonight, so let's switch gears a little bit and
Yeah.
try something else, because every
Yeah.
every venue does have its vibe. Like Vino's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing there this Friday, and like
Sweet. Yeah.
generally speaking, Vino and Springfield does not they're not as big country, and so I kind of have to be
Mm-hmm.
a little more creative. And usually I'll start out with some country and just feel it out. But I also think, because I brand myself as a country singer, that when I pull out something like Whitney Houston, people are just like, "What? I wasn't expecting, I wasn't expecting that."
Yeah.
So, like, I would never go to an acoustic show and expect to hear the Cranberries. Like, I would be like, you bust out some Zombie or something, I'm gonna be like, "Heck yeah, sister, let's go." Wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that one.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah.
Cool.
So my last question that I is my calling card question. This is what I ask everybody at the end of the episode. Um, if you could build your dream concert,
Ooh.
you get an opener, a co-headliner, and a headliner. It can be from any era, any genre. You can mix genres. They can be dead or alive. And then you've got to give me a venue of where you want this concert to take place.
Wow.
Go. No pressure. Go.
um, oh gosh. I feel like I think just depending on what I'm listening, like what I'm listening to right now, and especially going over people that I haven't seen. I feel like a dream concert for me would be like
I will judge you based on your answers, by the way.
really. Yeah, it's okay. No pressure. Oh my gosh. I do feel I think Queen would be one of them. I think
Well,
Queen.
Queen has to be the headliner, right?
Queen has to be the headliner. I just yeah, Queen. I would love to see. This is like a lot harder than I thought. Um, I'm like going through my mind of like every possible person. I really like Maggie Rogers a lot right now. I probably would have to
Okay.
like have her as like an opener maybe or something like
Yeah,
that.
she's good.
Wait, did we say opener, headliner,
You get
venue?
Yeah, you get a co-headliner and a headliner and an opener.
Co-headliner. Okay. Who
So
could
Maggie, I would
co?
say, would be your opener for sure, probably.
Yeah,
And I
Maggie
don't think you're going to get
opener.
anybody bigger than Queen, so I think that
I
they
know.
have to be your
So we might
headliner.
need to have a middle person here. um. Oh God. And then I probably would say I would have to throw in probably like Alanis in there somewhere. Maybe her and Queen could do some sort of thing together, you know. I feel like that'd be very interesting, and then Maggie would
Uh,
be opening. So that'd be quite the
okay.
show.
So
So
we're going Maggie
uh
Rogers to Alanis Morissette to Queen. I would buy a
yeah.
ticket. I would buy a ticket.
You know, yeah, I mean I think that's a pretty you got a lot of different things going on, you know. So
That's
um
Chelsea James had Elvis opening and
ooh
Michael
yeah.
Jackson as the co-headliner and Guns N' Roses as the headliner. And she
That
said
would be
Elvis.
quite the concert.
Yeah, she said Elvis as the opener, and I was like, "Time out. Who is headlining this concert if Elvis Presley is opening? What are we doing?" I
Yeah.
was like, "I love your choices, but I don't think Guns N' Roses is headlining that show."
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh,
But there's no wrong
Elvis Presley
answers.
would be in. Yeah. Yeah. Elvis Presley would be another person, maybe. But
I
yeah.
feel like Elvis
Cool.
is like, and Chelsea, in her defense, her justification made sense. She was like, Elvis is, by today's standards, would have been more tame
That's
compared to
true.
Michael Jackson and Guns N' Roses. And I was like, yeah, because back then Elvis was like the risque. He was the one
Yeah.
pushing the envelope, and nowadays it's like we've got
Other thing.
we've
They're
got
past that envelope. They're
we've
like,
got we've got Lil Nas X dressing up as the devil, dry humping the ground on the MTV Music Awards. Like I think, yeah,
yeah.
I think Elvis is pretty PG comparatively to
Yeah.
what we've got these days.
Yeah.
Okay,
It,
so now,
yeah.
yeah. So where's the what venue are you? Is this
Hmm.
very diverse show
Very
gonna happen at?
diverse. Hmm. Trying to think. I probably would have to say. I probably would have to say if I were to pick like a place. Maybe feel like it's kind of cliche, but like maybe like Madison Square Garden, or if I were to pick, yeah, I would probably say Madison Square Garden. So I feel like that's like a very prominent venue place that I think
Yeah.
be cool to see a
So
show.
I used to just ask everybody what their favorite venue, like if they could play any venue, would be, and
Ooh,
I've gotten a lot of answers for Red Rocks.
ooh, yeah,
But I think if you took away the Grand Ole Opry, I think Red Rocks would be up there. But I think there's a mystique about Madison Square Garden. Like
yeah,
it's just big time. Like if you're playing the
mm-hmm,
Garden, you've made it. And
yeah,
I don't know. It would be
yeah,
cool to play a stadium, like a football stadium too. Have
yeah.
90,000 people packed out.
Yeah, like I always told myself, I was like, man, I think it would just be cool to go play in the places that I've seen shows at, no matter how
Yeah.
big the stage. Because
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, like I used to be out there,
Yeah.
seat number 22,
Right.
like something like that, you know?
Do you have a favorite venue that you've seen a concert at?
Um, hmm, trying to think. Um,
We're big on the Rogers, the Walmart Amphitheater in Rogers. We
yeah,
love it
I
down
I
there.
have yet to see a show there.
It's cool, and they
But I
bring in a lot of
yeah,
big,
yeah.
like big names.
Yeah. I feel like as far as like all the places that I've seen concerts at, I know there's one I forget what the name of it was called, but it was in St. Louis and we went and saw the script there. I forget what it's called. It might be I
Is
don't
it
think it's like the
the
Peabody.
Hollywood? Oh, okay. There's like a
No,
theater.
Peabody. It's like a little like it was like a theater, but it was just really cool. It was like just kind of like it just felt like intimate and stuff. And I was like, man, this would be kind of a cool place to like do a show and stuff like that. Or um
I
yeah.
love like
I forget
I
what the name
love.
of it was called.
Yeah, I think, well, Peabody
I think
sounds right.
we'll just go with it. We'll go
Yeah,
with it for now.
we'll
So
say it's Peabody.
if I'm wrong, you can tell me later. Like
I love like the Galois, theaters like that.
Yes.
The Blue
Mhm.
Note in Columbia, like places that are
Mhm.
kind of quaint and but also can hold a decent amount of people. And
Yeah.
like I played when I was in college, I was in a competition called Mizzou Idol, and it was at the Missouri Theater, and it was just a huge, like you walk in, it's just like this big, magnificent, like it was just really really cool. And like their green room and stuff backstage was like really old and brick walls, and like just thinking about the people that have played there. And um, when I was in Nashville, we went to the Ryman and took a tour of the Ryman, and I got to stand there on the circle where everybody, Johnny Cash
Oh,
and all these
that's
huge
cool.
people have
Yeah.
played. And it's just like it's overwhelming. You think of,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not one to really get starstruck by people, but like it's like when you're really passionate about music, and like for me a certain type of music like country, like I just start thinking about Johnny Cash and Hank Williams and
Mhm.
Loretta Lynn and all these people that have transcended time. And
Yeah.
it just gives you the heebie-jeebies, like thinking that I'm standing in the
Yeah.
same circle or sitting in the same sound booth that these people sat in. It's wild.
Yep.
Okay, so we are looking at this week, or this month, April. What do you got going on this month coming up?
Yeah, I'm excited. On the April 7th, I'll be at Beard Engine Brewing Company. Have you ever been there or?
I have not. Where's that at?
It's out in Alba, so it's like a little town. It's kind of like around like Carthage, like Joplin area and stuff, but just the nicest owners. And I'll be playing there from 7 to 9. And then my other gig that I have in April is going to be at Turkey Creek Brewing Company in Hollister. That's the 21st, and that's from I
Yeah.
believe 6:30 to 8:30. I believe.
Have you played there yet?
Turkey Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
Okay.
played there before. So, yeah, it's a really cool I love playing in the summer and like on the outdoor patio that they've got, or like the
Yeah.
little like stage they have there. I really like that. So,
I just played there for the
um
first time.
oh,
The
really?
owner's son Zach. I've known him. He's a Branson kid. You probably know Zach. Um,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I just played there for the first time, and they're so nice, and it's just a really cool.
Mhm.
I was inside. It was very cold, so I was thankful.
Oh, yeah.
But very. I mean, it was packed. It was packed, and it was a good
Oh,
time,
yeah.
and it was small on the inside, so it was easy to interact with people and keep
Yeah.
engagement up. So that
Mhm.
was really cool. So, Madison, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to
Yeah,
finally
thank
get to
you.
talk to you and
Yeah.
discuss some things. And I'm really excited and happy for you that things are going as well as they are. And that's super awesome. So,
Okay.
uh, okay. So, Madison, thank you again for your time. It was so great to talk to you.
Thank
Tell
you.
the people where they can follow you and where they can listen to your music and keep up to date on your local shows.
Yeah, so you can find all my music on all streaming platforms like Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all that stuff. And you can find me on pretty much all the social medias like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even TikTok, YouTube. And you can find me under my name, Matteson Gregory. So, um, yeah.
Great.
And you can go to my website, MattisonGregory.com, and that has all the show info as well for a lot of my upcoming shows I have.
Great. And if you want to book Madison, you can email her at hello@madisongregory.com, which she sent
Yeah.
me her email, and I was like, that is on brand for a smiley human being like yourself. So I love it. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
again so
Yeah.
much for sitting down with me. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully got some new fans today. You've got a great story, and
Awesome.
things are going great for you. So super excited. And thank you to everybody listening. Tune in next week. We're going to have Tyler Garoutte on. And we are going to close out the show today with Matteson Gregory's original song, Have You Seen My Friends? Thank you guys for listening. Check you out next week.
Excuse me, can you help me from my friends? I seem to have lost them, to know where they went. The last time we hung out was a Tuesday night. We drank white wine, talked about guys, everything was just fine. But then no calls, on this